The following program is brought to you by Jack Miller.
It's Down to Business with Jack Miller. Forget what they teach you in school. This is real life, not Wall Street, but Main Street. A real show on what's really involved with starting and running a business, with all the ups and downs. Our guests will answer your questions and provide you with valuable information. Stay tuned and join in the conversation.
When the earth was created, the word...
Everyone, thank you for joining us. This is Jack Miller. I'm so pleased to be with you today. I am bubbling with energy and enthusiasm today, and I just can't wait to get into the show today. We have a super exciting guest on it. Actually, a super great show, but it's going to start with, we're going to bring on, I'm lucky enough to have a guy by the name of Mark Roderick join us in a minute or two. He is Mr. Crowdfunding attorney. This guy is the preeminent attorney in the whole country who deals with the new craze of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is really just the new way that people are raising money on the internet, but this guy's on the forefront of it, and I'm excited to have him with us. And with that, I want to bring him on right away. I don't want to waste any time. This is a great thing. Mark, are you with us?
I am with you, yeah, and when you started off by saying you were bubbling, I just was wondering what you were bubbling with, but I am relieved to hear that it was just enthusiasm.
Well, you know, the truth is, last night, I don't know if you heard, but there was a terrible, terrible plane crash in Ohio. And a bunch of, I think 7 people were killed on the plane, whatever, a freak story. It turns out that one of them lived in my neighborhood. And I was so depressed. I don't know the guy, but the whole thing just depressed me. You know, he's a young guy, the prime of his life. I was literally sitting on the sofa just depressed over the whole thing. And then I realized that, you know what, you have to enjoy life. We have to be passionate about everything we do, because you never know when, we're here for a short time, and you never know when your time is up. And I'm just bubbling with energy, bubbling with enthusiasm. I got tons of questions for you, by the way, on Twitter. A lot of people have a lot of crowdfunding questions, and I'm thrilled you're with us. So I'm bubbling.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I am absolutely thrilled to be here. I tend to be a little bit evangelical about crowdfunding because it's just such a terrific and important development. So I am thrilled to join you. You and I have spoken before, and you are a super interesting, inquisitive guy, so I think we're going to have a great conversation.
So let's start out. Why don't you give everyone the history of crowdfunding and what it really is, because people, I think, have a common misconception about it, like it's something new. People have been always raising money, probably since the pyramids or, you know, forever. Putting capital together, whether it be debt or equity. And let's hear from you exactly what crowdfunding is and how it's really changed the whole landscape of business over the past several years.
Okay, well, I'd be happy to do that. Please interrupt me if I start to sound too boring. Yeah, we've had crowdfunding in one form or another forever, in the sense that crowdfunding just means a lot of people pooling money together. And, of course, you know, people have been doing that forever. The Empire State Building back in 1885 was crowdfunded. A lot of things have been crowdfunded since. The difference today, what crowdfunding is today is really very simple, and that is crowdfunding is the Internet coming to the capital formation industry. So we may talk about a lot of complicated technical rules today, but if you just bear in mind that crowdfunding is really very simple, crowdfunding in its current sense, it's just the Internet. And when the Internet comes to industries, and we can all think of the industries it's come to, the travel industry and the dating industry and the, you know, taxi cab industry and the hotel industry, the Internet always does the same thing, and it directly connects buyers and sellers. So in a hotel, you know, the seller is someone with an accommodation they want to rent, and the buyer is someone who needs some place to sleep. In the crowdfunding world, in the investment world, the sellers are people looking to raise money, and the buyers are investors. And the Internet, for the first time in history, directly connects buyers and sellers, that is companies and investors. Up until now, as any business that has ever tried to raise money knows, our capital formation industry in this company is this hugely expensive, inefficient series of private networks where it really matters whom you know, who your father knows, where you grew up, and now for the first time, because we can use the Internet to have this direct connection, all of that goes away. And for the first time, companies and investors can talk with one another. That's why it's such a huge deal. And just as those other industries have all been totally transformed by the Internet, the capital formation industry, the business of raising money, is similarly in the process of being totally transformed for the better.
So really what it does is it gives people who want to raise money, whether it be for debt or equity. So, correct?
That is correct.
So the ability to go out and instead of going through a stockbroker or friends and neighbors or whatever, it allows them to advertise it either on their own or through a portal, a crowdfunding site, and connect directly with investors.
That's correct, and that has never in history been legal. So just to take an example of the reason it's so exciting and so transformative, if you happen to be so lucky as to grow up in the San Francisco Bay Area, right, and you want to start a company, chances are within 1 or at most 2 degrees of separation, you probably know somebody who knows somebody in the venture capital industry. And so starting a company, raising capital is very easy. I live very near a city, Camden, New Jersey, which has the fame of usually being the homicide capital of the country. And I gave a presentation in Camden not too long ago and noted that kids, living 500 yards from where I was speaking, if they have an idea for a business, where the heck do they go? And the answer is nowhere up until now. But today, the kids in Camden with a business idea have access via the Internet to every single investor in the whole world, just like the kid from the San Francisco Bay Area. So it's just this transformative event.
Usually I rail on the government for over-regulating us, but this has partly come about, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're the expert, because of not only does the Internet come of age at the right time, but the government has actually loosened regulations or changed the regulations that permitted this, because there was all kinds of regulations a few years ago for advertising, for example, in the newspaper, and now you can do that. So is that correct, that the government's really changed and made certain exemptions for this possible?
Yes, absolutely. For the last 80 years, this was the thing. You couldn't advertise. And that rule just began to look and act and feel more and more archaic as we got into the Internet age, and the temptation to be able to advertise for investors over the Internet just became overwhelming. So what happened back in 2012, and this is actually a pretty interesting thing, the Jobs Act was signed into law by President Obama on April 5th, 2012. The Jobs Act is probably the most important piece of bipartisan legislation in the history of the Obama presidency. The Obama presidency has had other important legislation like the Affordable Care Act, like it or hate it, but that was hardly bipartisan. But the Jobs Act was passed with Republican and Democratic votes. Of course, the parties typically voting yes for different reasons. The Republicans in favor of deregulation and so forth, the Democrats voting in favor of community development, job creation. But this is, the crowdfunding laws are a creature of a historic change in laws that happened in 2012.
So I want to give the government some credit. And I want to further say that I'm a big believer that one of the things the government needs to do, and this is kind of a little political statement, I have to go on a tyrant here, is if they want to spark the economy, do what they did here, lessen regulations to make, instead of making it onerous for businesses and investors, make it easier for businesses and investors. So the government, I think, did a great job with this. I really do.
Yeah, and I'd take that a step further. So the law gave the Securities and Exchange Commission a lot of leeway to interpret exactly how it would be introduced from a practical point of view. And I am telling you that for all the bad things you sometimes hear about the SEC, at virtually every step of the way, the SEC has leaned over backwards to make crowdfunding easier, better, more flexible, less expensive. So the government agency in charge of this is clearly on board. They are really going out of their way. The regulations that you might have heard about, the final piece of crowdfunding, so-called Title III, that were just finally passed by the SEC a couple weeks ago. Again, the SEC is going out of its way to make things easier for entrepreneurs to raise money, and I don't think there's any doubt in the world that, this is going to have a huge job-creating impact over time.
So people can do, so let me break down some questions that I got and ask specific questions. I'm a guy in wherever, Ohio, Philadelphia, Florida, anywhere. I want to open up a business, and I'm making up a number, $200,000-300,000. Let's say I want to buy a fast food franchise, or I actually had a question about an Adam and Eve adult toy store. We happen to have them on as a speaker, I don't know, a couple months ago, and someone tweeted me the other day and said, hey, can I buy an Adam and Eve sex toy store and crowdfund the money that I need?
Well, the answer is absolutely. You can use that. Let's say that your person in Ohio wants to open that store and needs to raise $300,000. So that is a perfect so-called Title III crowdfunding kind of company, raising a relatively modest amount of money, able to raise the money from non-accredited investors, and probably, given the nature of the business, able to interest a lot of non-accredited investors in that business. And for that matter, to take it a step further, on Kickstarter, which is crowdfunding except it's just gifts. You're making gifts to companies. And on Kickstarter campaigns, the company usually gives you a gift in return, a T-shirt or a baseball cap. Well, you're going to see that in Title III as well, and the franchise you're talking about could probably promise some pretty interesting gifts to its investors. So that would actually work really well.
Maybe worth it just for the gifts. And the same thing, I assume, can happen if I want to buy a duplex to rent out or to fix up for $100 or $200,000. If I'm just a regular investor and it's not the Empire State Building, it's just a small property, I can go on and do that. And am I correct in saying that we have to take a break in a minute. I want to get into portals when we get back, but I can do that on my own or through a portal, correct?
Well, this is how it works. That starts to get a little bit complicated because that depends on what flavor of crowdfunding you're using. There are three flavors, and I won't go into the detail now unless somebody asks me to, but one's called Title II, one's called Title III, one's called Title IV, and those are for the sections of the Jobs Act in which they appeared. Under Title II and Title IV, anybody without using a portal can just go ahead on the Internet, create an Internet site, and start selling securities, that is, raising capital, no problem. Title III, which is the most recent addition to the family, does require using a portal. It's a more regulated flavor of crowdfunding, and there's a bunch of rules around it. And one of those rules is that you cannot just create your own website. You have to go through a portal which itself needs to be registered with the SEC.
So we have to take a break. When we get back, why don't we talk a little bit about portals and a couple more things? But before we go to break, why don't you give everyone your contact information? Because I know you're going to have a lot of people are interested in speaking to you.
Oh boy, okay. I'm happy to do that. My name is Mark Roderick, and I'll give you my telephone number. That's the easiest to write down. Is 856-661-2265, and I have a blog which I post to very regularly with all kinds of cool stuff about crowdfunding, and that is www.crowdfundattorney.com, except it's not quite the whole attorney. It's crowdfund and then attny.com. And if you're interested in learning about crowdfunding, that is a terrific place to start.
And as a sidebar, Mark puts out a crowdfunding, what I call cheat sheet. In fact, I just tweeted it if anyone wants to look. And you may have updated it. Mine's maybe 6 or 9 months old. I would send Mark an email and get that cheat sheet if you have any interest in it. With that, we have to take a 2-3 minute commercial break, Mark. Stick with us, a bunch more questions for you.
Don't turn that dial. We will be right back.
Are you tired of dealing with unreliable banks and brokers who charge upfront fees and never deliver on their promises? You don't have to. Gelt Financial Corporation has been in business since 1989 and offers a stated income loan program for non-owner-occupied residential and commercial real estate investors. No tax returns required. What are you waiting for? Call Gelt Financial right now at 561-221-0900. Again, that's 561-221-0900. 561-221-0900.
Did you invest in a non-liquid real estate partnership? Do you want and need liquidity? There's finally an answer. Quick Liquidity is a direct buyer of real estate minority interest and tenants in common investments across the country. To find out if we would buy your non-liquid investment, call us at 561-221-0881 or visit us at quickliquidity.com. That's quickliquidity.com. If you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate, call attorney Dan Kaskow, 561-237-6822. Mr. Kaskow is board certified by the Florida Bar as an expert in real estate law. He's been practicing law for more than 20 years and is a partner in the law firm of Sachs Kaplan with offices in Boca Raton and Tallahassee. Dan Kaskow handles real estate, corporate, condominium, and homeowner association matters throughout Florida. From residential purchases and sales, bulk buying and selling of condominium units, to purchases and sales of commercial properties. Contact attorney Dan Kaskow at 561-237-6822 for your real estate, corporate, and community association legal needs. Attorney Dan Kaskow, 561-237-6822. Non-attorney spokesperson for attorney Dan Kaskow.
You landed on 880 The Biz, South Florida's only business talk station. 880 The Biz, where money talks. Welcome back to It's Down to Business with Jack Miller. Call us at 305-541-2350. Follow us on Facebook at Jack Miller Down to Business or on Twitter at HJackMiller1.
Hello, everyone. This is Jack Miller again, and I'm so lucky and pleased to be here with Mark Roderick. Mark is one of the leading crowdfunding and really securities attorneys in the country. He's with Flassler Greenberg. And Mark, thanks for sticking with us during the break. Mark, it seems that people can go on the internet and buy these, but directly. But it also seems what's called, I think it's a portal, which I describe as like a marketplace for different crowdfunding deals. That's sort of like a new business for it. Why don't you describe what a portal is?
Sure. I will tell you exactly what a portal is like, and I actually use this terminology frequently. A portal is a store. It's a store that happens to sell securities, meaning, for example, an interest in a real estate fund or an interest in a high-tech company. So the product is securities, but it's really very helpful to think of the portal as just a store. So DSW is a store that sells shoes. A portal is a store that sells securities. And, in fact, the way the market has developed, it's developing, I should say, just like the retail market. So if you're in the market for shoes, you don't want to have to go in a whole bunch of general merchandise stores. You want to be able to go to DSW. I sound as if I'm advertising for DSW, but I'm not intending to. And in the same way, the way the portal market is developing, there are portals, for example, that sell only real estate debt. Okay? So if you're in the market for real estate debt, you want to go to that store. There are portals that sell only interest in consumer product companies. So again, if you're an investor and you're really into the consumer product space, you go to that portal. So just as the retail market has developed, you get a lot of specialty stores, then there are also a few sort of more general merchandise stores. So that's what portals are, and I just want to tell everyone that because the crowdfunding market is so new, it's like, the U.S. West in the 1840s where they sort of let people go out and claim some land and a few little stores got developed. That's the way the crowdfunding market looks today. There are a handful of well-known stores. There are a bunch of less well-known stores, but we're a long way from the mall, that we're all familiar with. Probably in 10 years there's going to be malls, portals where you walk in and you can just find any kind of company. But today it's just these sort of individual stores.
And it breaks down even further because if I want to invest, for example, in a real estate, whether it be debt or equity, I can have my choice whether I want a short-term deal, 6 months to 2 years, or a long-term hold. So I know because I registered for a bunch of the portals, and some of them, are short-term buy and flip deals you can invest in, and some of them are, apartment buildings that they may be owned for 10 or 15 years type deals.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct, and a fun parlor game you can play is sort of trying to predict how the portal industry is going to develop. Are they going to develop into these sort of mega malls, or are they going to develop into very, isolated product brand names? So it's sort of fun to speculate. But so far it's developing as you might have predicted, where it's becoming more specialized so that if I'm an investor and I decide I want an investment of a particular type, I know just where to go.
So really, the crowdfunding has taken away a lot of the barriers to entry in terms of regulation and price that they were facing before. But I still want to play up, or I want to let people know that I believe, and I think, Mark, you're definitely going to agree, that people still need qualified attorneys to guide them with this, because it's not like the Wild West where they can put up any offer. You still need, I would assume, a private placement memorandum with the proper disclosures and all of that good stuff.
Yes, you absolutely do. I mean, it's a pretty unregulated market. It is a little bit, particularly in Title II crowdfunding, it's sort of wild, wild west. So you definitely, want to get good advice if you're a company and you're trying to raise money, because the last thing you want is to go through raising money and then find yourself on the wrong side of a lawsuit. And, if you're an investor, you certainly want to get investment advice. Most of us, just frankly don't have the ability to decide on, private investments where should I invest in this office building in Ohio or an apartment building in Austin, Texas. That would be a real tough one for me for sure. So investors also want to understand that these are private investments. They are relative to, buying something like General Electric in the public stock market. They are relatively risky deals. There's no such thing as a free lunch. But I do want to say, and I know Jack, you and I have talked about this. So people think about crowdfunding as a great boon for entrepreneurs because now they can raise capital so much more easily and reach so many investors. All that is absolutely true. But it wouldn't matter if it were not also a great deal for investors, because the way the investment market is structured today, if you're just an ordinary investor, your choice of investments is very, very limited. The great investments, the ground floor investments, for example, in a big, great real estate project, those investments up until today have been reserved for the very wealthy. Today, you can go on a crowdfunding site as an ordinary investor and buy an interest in the World Trade Center. That is a first time in history, and that's an example of investors as well as entrepreneurs having this fantastic opportunity that they've never had before.
So it's really opened up tremendous opportunities for investors.
Absolutely.
It comes with risk, and there's a lot of risks out there, and maybe I'm going to talk about it the second part of the show, and maybe we'll have you back and talk about it. So I would just encourage investors to tread lightly. Just don't write checks, because my feeling is, as I look at these crowdfunded deals, and I don't mean to be the naysayer here because I'm strongly in favor of it, I think a lot of these deals are going to blow up in a couple years, or some of them may blow up. And my fear is when they blow up, the regulators will do a pendulum swing the other way and tighten up the regulations. So investors, I believe, should be very careful which deals they invest in. Because
yeah, and no doubt about that. And I mean, the best advice I would give is, try to give is, one, get investment advice, and two, the same way you're careful about what retail stores you shop in. You sort of get comfortable with the quality of a Macy's, or if you want to shop at another store, you're sort of familiar with its quality. I would today invest in crowdfunding deals only from reputable portals, only at reputable stores. You still don't know they're going to be successful, because if you invest in a real estate deal and the real estate market tanks the way it did in 2008, you're probably going to lose money. But
so be careful. That's the bottom line. Be careful.
Yeah,
Mark,
exactly.
We only have 2 minutes left. I want you to give out your contact information, but are there any other big things that I did not touch on, which I should have, that you want to bring up?
Well, the only thing I would say, I don't know how much your listeners care, but that there are these different kinds of crowdfunding. Some crowdfunding is reserved for accredited investors only. Some kinds of crowdfunding non-accredited investors can participate in. Some kind of crowdfunding you have to go through a long review process with the SEC. So it's not a one-size-fits-all market, and you do sort of have to get some advice and carefully decide which avenue you want to go down.
I would suggest anyone follow you on Twitter, get your blog, get your cheat sheet. Mark, give out your information before we go, because I know what a valuable resource you are, and people really need to touch base with you, whether they're thinking about starting a portal, thinking about starting as an investor, or as a sponsor.
Well, thank you, Jack. Okay, again, it's Mark Roderick. Phone number, which is easy to write down, is 856-661-2265, and crowdfunding blog is crowdfundattny.com. So I'm really happy to have joined you, Jack.
Mark,
it's
thank
been
you.
Fun.
You're the man. I really appreciate it. I know you're super busy. I don't know what to say except thank you. My audience loved it, and they're going to check you out on Twitter and all the other stuff. Mark, thank you very much. Our audience, stick with us. We'll be back after the break. Mark, thanks again, buddy.
Don't turn that dial. We'll be right back.
Turn it around.
Do you need long-term real estate financing? Gelt Financial is located right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and provides 30-year terms with no balloon payment whatsoever on non-owner occupied residential and commercial real estate. With a minimum loan amount of only $75,000 all the way up to $5 million, we provide common sense underwriting and quick closings. We don't require tax returns whatsoever. Call right now at 561-221-0900. Again, that's 561-221-0900.
Did you invest in a non-liquid real estate partnership? Do you want and need liquidity? There's finally an answer. Quick Liquidity is a direct buyer of real estate minority interest and tenants in common investments across the country. To find out if we would buy your non-liquid investment, call us at 561-221-0881 or visit us at quickliquidity.com. That's quickliquidity.com.
For up-to-date news, the latest info, contests, and more, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at 880TheBiz.
Where money talks.
Welcome back to It's Down to Business with Jack Miller. Call us at 305-541-2350. Follow us on Facebook at Jack Miller Down to Business or on Twitter at HJackMiller1.
Hello, everyone. This is Jack Miller. Again, I feel bad. I say it over and over. I'm so pleased to be with you, but I really am. I'm excited. I thought we had a great interview with Mark Roderick, a super exciting crowdfunding attorney, and I believe we have on the phone our co-host Todd Cohen. Mr. Cohen, are you there?
Oh, I'm here, Jack.
How you doing, buddy? I think we had a little communication problems before. I didn't realize Todd was actually on hold before, but little communication problems between Ingrid.
I actually found out. I was talking. I asked a couple questions and basically realized I was talking to myself.
Todd, I'm married for.
It's okay.
I'm married for so long that happens every night.
Yourself professionally, as always. Why am I not surprised that the one example that you gave him was someone trying to start an Adam and Eve store of their own? We've had so many business guests like Anthony last week, and yet you went right to the Adam and Eve.
Well, because Anthony's Pizza does not franchise. They don't need our money. But the guy buying an Adam and Eve store needs our money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I did that. And by the way, we got fantastic response from the Anthony's interview. I actually, Todd, think we have someone on the phone. I think we have a fan on the phone. Let's put her through. Hello, are you there? This is Jack Miller and Todd Cohen.
Hi, Jack. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And what's your name, my lovely lady?
So my name's Marsha.
Marsha, like Marsha Brady.
Exactly.
Well, I'm super excited you called, Marsha. And how's life treating you today?
Everything's pretty good. You know, I listen to your show. I love your show. I'm in my late 20s. I'm a businesswoman, and I just moved down to Florida. And I got to say, I wish there were more guys like you my age out there because I respect what you're saying.
Well, okay, so what about guys like older than me, older than you who are out there? I think because I'm like, you know, I'm 53, you're in your late 20s. Not that big of a disparity. No, I'm joking. I'm happily married.
Jack, you're going to get you into trouble, me into trouble, and probably Marsha into trouble.
And probably Marsha into trouble. So how's life, Marsha? You moved down here. When did you move down to South Florida?
I moved here about almost a year ago now.
So I would like to know, because I want to be like Dr. Phil or Oprah or, you know, Barbara Walters. Tell me about your experiences in South Florida from a young lady moving from wherever you lived here. How's it been? Have we been hospitable and nice to you?
Yeah, very, very friendly. Lots of hollers on the street. But I would say when it comes to professional networking and meeting people that are also professionals like I am, it's kind of leaves something to be desired compared to New York, where I come from.
Really? I would think there'd be a lot of professional networking down here.
Marsha, there's a couple recommendations I would give. My name's Todd, by the way. They have something called BNI down here. I don't know if you've heard of it. Excellent networking groups all over South Florida. And then also the chambers of commerce in each community are good networking opportunities. I recommend joining one or both of those and trying to meet some people to help you.
Or you can just call the show and we can help you network. This could be your official network. Let me ask you a question. How's the love life for you? You know, last week I went on a whole tirade about the millennials. So you're a millennial, and I don't know if you heard that. So I got to ask you directly because I get my source from usually men. So how's life as a millennial living in South Florida? What's the dating situation like?
Okay, so as a female millennial in South Florida and one that's ambitious and career-driven, I would say the dating is pretty bad. I haven't met any guys my age. The only guys that I've found that are on my level that live alone and make good income and like fancy things and aren't living off their parents are probably guys in their late 30s, early 40s.
So no noise. That's shocking because I know there's a lot of single guys down here. Do you mind if I ask, like, would you describe yourself? Like, what do you look like? By the way, our producer Ingrid just gave me the dirtiest looks, and she's going to throw an egg at me soon for asking that. I have to ask. Guys are curious. I'm not asking for me, but because no matter what you look like on the outside, I know you're beautiful on the inside, and that's what counts. But if you would describe your physique, that may give us more of a, I don't know, we may be more interested.
I think I'm a pretty girl. I'm tall, I'm thin, I have long hair. I'm very into fitness. I think I'm pretty good looking. I don't know. There just hasn't been any guys down here that I feel meet up to my standards and share my ambition.
So what color hair?
I have very dark hair.
Dark hair. I like that. And how tall are you?
What do you do professionally?
I'm a consultant.
So how tall are you?
I guess average height for a woman, so 5'5".
That's actually my wife's height. It's a perfect height.
Oh.
Perfect height. So back to the guys. So why can't you meet a guy? There's a million nice guys who live in Miami and are professional working guys.
I mean, you keep telling me this, but I'm telling you, I've been out, I've been going around, and I just don't see the levels that I saw in the other cities where I lived before I came here, like New York.
So we got to Todd. We got to take Marcia out and show her the nice guys.
I mean, you have sons, Jack. I wouldn't even know where to look.
I wouldn't know. It's just my way of flirting with Marcia. I don't know. I'll take her to Wendy's. I don't know. Just tell her. Tell her anything.
Wendy's.
So when you have a first date, like what's the standard? Like if someone takes you to like Olive Garden, is that like a decent first date?
I don't think any of these guys I meet in Miami are going to take me to Olive Garden, and so far they haven't. They take me to some really nice places, but then the bill comes and they want to split it.
Yeah, well, that's what they do. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. So what's your feeling on, like, how attracted, like, I don't know how to say this gently, but last week I said one of the problems that I think that we have today is women have the most powerful or most valuable commodity in the world, and they're giving themselves too easily. So what's your feeling on that? Like, I don't know if you're reading between what I'm saying here.
No, I agree with you. I think that it's a supply and demand issue, and when there's a lot of supply, there's not so much demand.
So because
why are you going to spend a premium for something if you can get it for free?
So because there's a lot of hood rats out there putting out the nice girls you're saying aren't getting it.
Yeah, I think nice girls pay the price sometimes.
By the way, I have to tell you, I am so glad you called in. You're like the highlight of my day. I don't know who you are, but this is just great. This is great. So nice girls pay the premium. So what do you do? Like, what's your age group that you'll date?
Actually, so I'm in my late 20s, and all the great guys I know, my male friends, they're married. So all the available guys that I meet that are my age, they're, living off daddy and have a mattress on the floor, and I'm not really down with that. So all the guys that I can find I have been, stimulating intellectual conversation with, and I can enjoy cultural events with, they're, divorced. They might have kids. They're in their late 30s. They're, in their early to mid-40s. So
you're dating guys late 30s to early 40s?
Definitely, and I highly recommend it.
What's the benefits
of
what? Yeah, Todd, there's opportunities. What's the what's the benefits of it?
Of dating an older man?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they're old-fashioned, so they'll treat you right. And they realize, they've got a diamond, so they're going to respect it.
Yep.
I mean, there's really no comparison. I love knowing that I date men who are men. They can fix my Jeep. They can take me out to dinner, and they can surprise me on weekend trips. I mean, I haven't met a 27-year-old guy that's going to do that for me.
So you want to be taken care of. Suppose you would meet an older guy who's like, 50 or 45 or whatever, who, would just take you to nice restaurants but not take you on a weekend trips. But let's say he was funny and he treated you like, put you up on the pedestal you deserved. How would would that be okay?
How old is this guy?
I don't know, 45, let's say.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I'm looking for my equal. And I think a lot of guys, maybe I'm told over and over, oh, men are intimidated. Men are intimidated by a successful woman. I beg to differ. I think boys are intimidated by a successful woman, but not men.
That's a good point. So, Marsha, let me ask you a question. Why in the world did you call our show? Like, what can we help you with? We'd love to help you. We'd love to help
Todd, you don't realize the power that we have over women. We have tremendous power, period. Then over women, it's increased, and over women like 22 to 35, we have like superpowers.
So you're saying our radio voices are much like the sirens' voices in like the Iliad and the Odyssey?
I'm saying that I really think Marsha, while it's a ruse that she dates guys 35 to 45, she's really kind of excited to talk to a middle-aged Jewish guy who's a little overweight, a little balding, but with a good sense of humor, who happens to be 53. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. But I don't know if it's
Jack.
I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking that she called to talk to me, but that's a whole other story.
She could be.
Back to the question, Marsha. What can we do for you? How can we help?
So what do you think? What's the state of guys in their late 20s and early 30s today? Why is it so hard for me to find a nice Jewish guy down here?
I think Jack and I hit on it. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but I think that the generation that's in their 20s right now is a me now kind of generation. They're in for immediate gratification. They're not in it for the long haul in anything that they do, and I think that translates into the dating world, where guys just want a quick hookup, to put it, in the most PC way on the radio, and that's all that they're looking for, and they're immature still. I mean, I know I was immature in my mid and young 20s. I'm sure they still are at that age, and therefore they're unwilling to give of themselves selflessly in any way. They're unwilling to commit for a longer term than one or two nights. They're unwilling to make the sacrifices necessary to, get a job that will lead to success, and so that they can live in a lifestyle that they and whoever they're dating or marrying, can live in a certain lifestyle. They're just unwilling to do that, at least right now in that stage of their lives.
Marsha, let me ask you a question, because we got to break in 2 minutes. How's the body? Like, isn't it a little weird? Like, my body is different than it was when it was 22 or 23 or 27. It's just like more saggy, even though my body's a mess, to be honest with you.
Jack, how many sit-ups do you do every day?
Todd, it's when I get up and back and forth
when
to the men's room.
When you get out of bed, is the one
to the men's room. When I get off the toilet, that's the exercise I do. By the way, my body wasn't so good when it was 27, and half the parts don't work like they used to. I mean, none of the parts work like they used to, but the important ones specifically work less. So how's that like, is that weird for you?
Nothing, I think, turns a woman on more than a man who can pay the bills. So,
it's all about the
like
money.
Earlier, the beauty's on the inside.
I gotcha. Well, Marsha, I'm joking around with you, and the truth is I have kids your age. I'm totally joking around. But there are a lot of very good networking groups, Jewish networking groups. If you friend me, or friend, I won't accept your friend, but if you friend Jack Miller Down to Business on Facebook, I will hook you up with some very good Jewish networking groups online. And I joke around, don't date any married guys or older guys. You're wasting your time. You need a guy, if you're in your mid-20s, you need a guy, 26 to 30. And
all right, let's find them.
I'm going to make it a mission. I'm going to find you a guy that age. And if they're with a nice-looking girl, I'm going to take that young girl away from them, and Todd and I will have to satisfy
that
young girl.
That nice-looking girl to ourselves, and Marsha will have herself a nice little date one night.
That's
right?
it. Todd, we need to clear the field of all Marsha's competition.
We'll take one for the team.
That's exactly right.
Wow, you guys are great.
Marsha, thanks for calling in. You're the best. every time, hang on. We were going to. I don't know what we were going to get to. My mind is blown by
Neither
that.
do I.
But we'll talk about it in 2 minutes after the break.
All right.
Okay.
Don't turn that dial. We will be right back.
Are you tired of dealing with unreliable banks and brokers who charge upfront fees and never deliver on their promises? You don't have to. Gelt Financial Corporation has been in business since 1989 and offers a stated income loan program for non-owner-occupied residential and commercial real estate investors. No tax returns required. What are you waiting for? Call Gelt Financial right now at 561-221-0900. Again, that's 561-221-0900. 561-221-0900.
Did you invest in a non-liquid real estate partnership? Do you want and need liquidity? There's finally an answer. Quick Liquidity is a direct buyer of real estate minority interest and tenants in common investments across the country. To find out if we would buy your non-liquid investment, call us at 561-221-0881 or visit us at quickliquidity.com. That's quickliquidity.com.
Welcome back to It's Down to Business with Jack Miller. Call us at 305-541-2350. Follow us on Facebook at Jack Miller Down to Business or on Twitter at HJackMiller1.
Hey, everyone. This is Jack Miller again, just coming down from my call from Marcia. Todd, that was pretty funny, wasn't it?
I mean, let me tell you something. We may have had someone call into our show randomly once or twice before, but that was definitely the best surprise of the day. It was great. Marcia, we wish you the best. Hope to be in touch. Hope to help any way we can. And we look forward to other of you guys and girls out there reaching out to us for similar useless and brainless conversations and advice that we can offer.
Well, you know what? It shows that people are listening to us. People are listening to us, and people really trust our advice. I don't know if we gave her any good advice. I actually feel bad for her. She's having problems in the dating world. You think there'd be a million guys out there. You know what I mean?
Are you the same age as your wife?
I'm 53. My wife is 50. And on that topic, Todd, can I digress for a second? Because this Saturday is actually my 28th year anniversary. And,
wow.
And my wife counts 20, but I actually count 29 because I count the day that I met her as really changing my life. And I really want to thank I want to get serious before I go back to my fantasy of me and Marcia. But the truth is, and this is like a weird combination. I'm talking about Marcia, but I'm going to thank my wife. My wife has been such a blessing to my life. And I did not enjoy my childhood, and I really don't think I had a good day before I met my wife. And I don't think I had a bad day after I met my wife. And I love
that is the sweetest thing. That's great. And today is my daughter's 3rd birthday.
Todd, I'm trying to get insurance for my wife, so she makes love to me tonight. Can we talk about your daughter in a second? Let me just keep my wife. I'm so grateful that she's put up with me for all these years, and I really love her a lot. And I know I joke around a lot about the radio, and she probably gets embarrassed, but I just wanted to thank her for sticking with me all these years, and every day with my wife is a blessing. So,
Judy, God bless you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So anyway, Todd, happy birthday to your 3-year-old daughter. I'm very excited. You taking her out for ice cream or anything like that?
It's so exciting. This morning we lit candles, did the whole thing, and tonight we're going to have a little party at the house. And then we have a big party with friends and some relatives planned this weekend. It's hard to get that all together during the week. So
I understand. I got you. Well, I'm excited because I have to tell you, I just finished up reading a book called No Hope: Why I Left the GOP by Jimmy LaSalvia. And he's going to be on our show next week. This guy's the founder of Go Proud. He has been a lifelong Republican. He actually resigned or quit the Republican Party. He wrote an absolutely fantastic book. Whether you're homosexual, you should read the book. Heterosexual, you should read the book. If you're into politics, you should read the book. If you have a crush on me, you should read the book. If you're Marcia, you should read the book. I think everyone should read the book. And I have to tell you, there's one. I finished up the book this week. There's one thing involving him, Barney Frank, a steam room, and one towel that I literally was reading the book and I burst out laughing so much I was crying from reading the book. So
that's great.
It is a fantastic book, and I can't. And the guy happens to be a really nice guy, and this guy knows everybody who's anyone, and I can't wait to have him on the show next week. We have tons of great guest book and a lot of good shows. I actually was going to talk about Quick Liquidity. As everyone knows, Quick Liquidity is one of our sponsors, and they purchase crowdfunding positions on the secondary market because a lot of people buy crowdfunding positions and then just need the capital. And I was going to talk about that to piggyback what Mark was talking about. I thought it would be great. And then Marcia threw me off with her.
You threw everyone off their game today. Even Ingrid, I think, was taken aback a little bit.
By the way, Ingrid said that her boyfriend left yesterday, and she's very sad because she misses him, but she's glowing.
Right. Well,
her
it's been
radiance.
17 months, and then she probably didn't leave her house since last Thursday, I'm guessing, and that's quite a 6 days of adventure, I'm sure.
Now, are you curious, like, what went on during these 6 days, like how many times or anything like that?
I'm as curious as can be. I want to know all the details. Maybe we should get her on here to talk about it a little bit.
I'd be a little embarrassed to ask her. She's giving me the stare down. She's giving me the stare down. I have a feeling she would tell us, but
yeah.
In my mind, everyone's sex life is more exciting and more adventurous than mine. I don't know if that's true or not, but in my mind,
the grass is always greener theory. I mean, it's what we do as humans.
I understand. Ingrid, we only have 2 minutes. I can't talk about anything substantive in that 2 minutes. Do you care to give us like a 2 or 3 minute description of the past week with your lover?
2 minutes is too much.
2 minutes is too much.
2 minutes
Too
is
much
too
information.
much.
Too much information. How about 30 seconds?
It was great. It's the first time that I miss someone.
You miss someone. Well, that's pure
I'm
love.
36.
I know. She.
I'm sorry, Ingrid. I really am.
I know. I feel bad that Ingrid's all alone.
No, it's great.
By the way, I took a picture of Ingrid before, so now I have a picture of on a phone. I'm going to put it on Twitter, so if anyone wants to see Ingrid, they can go to my Twitter account and see Ingrid. I said they should call up and flirt with you and talk to you, keep you occupied, all that stuff. Is that good? Okay, Todd. So, Todd, tell us where you are today. I want to hear all about the ICSC.
Yeah, look, I'm at an ICSC conference.
Wait, tell everyone what the
Hard Rock Hotel and Casino.
Todd, tell everyone what the ICSC is, because I don't think
the International Council of Shopping Centers. Basically, anyone who works in retail investment property industry, whether they're a third-party provider like an attorney or people who do leasing or people who do landscaping or contractors or architects, or people who actually sell, finance, buy, invest in or the tenants themselves in shopping centers or single-tenant retail properties all across the United States. And actually, it's a global group. So it's actually all across the world.
What's the outlook?
Belong to this.
What's the outlook for retail, real estate, and retail? And we have like 10 seconds with that, Todd.
I mean, basically, the outlook overall is very promising. Everyone, these conferences are put together mostly to be positive and put like a smile on everyone's face. But the truth of the matter is, there are some serious global trends that are taking place. There's a huge migration to urban areas from younger people right out of college, leading up to when they would get married or even have kids. And then a huge urban flight from older people, empty nesters, who give up the suburbs and want to live and work and take advantage of everything in close proximity later in life as well. And those trends are influencing the retail landscape.
Todd, we got to
100%.
go. We got to go with that. I want to thank everyone for staying with us. I hope you guys had a great show. And Marcia, if you're listening, please call in next week. I think you should call in every week and give us a week by week of your dating status, because there's a lot of more questions I have for you that I just thought about. So
Oh my God!
I know it's disgusting. Is it a little perverted? She's probably like my kid's age.
Right.
Little perverted.
We're gonna have this guest next week who just left the Republican Party and has that lascivious scene in his book that had you laughing.
We got it, Todd. They're going to throw us off the air. We got to go, my friend. Everyone in the audience, thank you very much. Check us out on iTunes. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on Facebook. I don't know, the bathroom walls, whatever you want. Have a great week, everyone. Todd, take care, my friend.
We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to tune in next Thursday at 3 o'clock on 880 The Biz. If you want to send in your questions, comments, or ideas for shows, please email Jack Miller at geltfinancial.com. Follow us on Facebook at Jack Miller Down to Business or on Twitter at HJackMiller1.